The cleanup of ocean pollution is a monumental task that has no short-term solution or resolution. The full scope of the task can only be realized by future technologies and future generations, as widespread use of single-use plastics clutter in the ocean make it difficult to recycle all material. The mismanagement of recycling products by coastline cities make up the majority of waste that enters the ocean from land, leaving behind massive swirling heaps of garbage. Estimates of the size of the garbage patch vary quite a bit, owing to gaps in data collection from different countries. However, using the impacts of wildlife, marine biologists can see how widespread the waste problem has become. In an area off the coast of northern Australia, 8,690 abandoned fishing nets were observed with an estimated 4,800 to 14,600 turtles entangled within the lines. The impacts of human beings on marine life is evident and generally not positive. Cleanup efforts have a wide variance in their scope, budget, and intended impact. The Ocean Cleanup Project is one of the best-known cleanup projects throughout the world and predicts to remove over half of the North Pacific garbage patch by 2025.
Plastic pollution in our oceans is an expanding issue that's been present over the past several decades and is now beginning to gain the attention of scientists, governments, and more notably the worldwide public. As more is beginning to unfold regarding their physical effects, not only on marine life but also humans, there's a growing cause for concern over the irreparable damage done in ecosystems affecting the health of both parties. Environmental Health Perspectives' February 2015 issue noted that a 6-year study performed by the 5 Geyers Institute estimated that 5.25 trillion plastic particles weighing roughly 269,000 tons were floating on the surface area of the seas alone. That's not to account for the fact that nearly half of all plastics is negatively buoyant, meaning that it will sink to shorelines or ocean floors. In regards to human and marine health, these studies have also found that plastics have a tendency to take up persistent bioaccumulative and toxic substances which are present in trace quantities in almost all water bodies. The constituents of these plastics absorbed by marine life also make their way up the food chain and ultimately into human consumption as well. There is much being investigated when it comes to the exposure that these plastics have once ingested by marine wildlife. Right now, the belief is that toxic chemicals inside these plastics are being leached out into the guts of the animals that are ingesting them and being broken down to concentrated levels, only to be consumed and carried on to the next level in the predatory food chain. Furthermore, the study of these plastics consumed by humans is also in its infancy, but is being assumed to pose the same risk as it does towards marine wildlife. Right now, it is estimated that in European countries, in which many have regular diets consisting of high shellfish consumption, consumers are taking in roughly 11,000 pieces of microplastics per year, as compared to 1,800 with low consumption.
The Marine Plastic Pollution Research and Control Act requires the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to study the effects of improper disposal of plastics in the environment and methods to reduce or eliminate the adverse effects. The law is meant to prevent and reduce waste from vessels that operate within the United States oceanic boundaries. Transportation of waste material from the United States or anywhere in the world with the purpose of disposing that waste into the ocean by U.S. agencies or U.S. flagships. As recently as 2018, Congress voted on and approved the Save Our Seas Act that proposes a variety of new measures to bolster the international engagement and cooperation to research and address the marine debris crisis. It commits resources to scientific research to better understand and address the root causes of plastic pollution, both here in the United States and around the world. The bill also proposes a host of new efforts here at home to improve our waste management system, particularly our recycling infrastructure. For example, the bill creates a loan program for states to support trash wheel and litter trap technologies. These are 2 examples of current policy in the United States that deals with the prevention and protection from current and future waste in our oceans. One way the United States could create policy towards retrieving and removing the plastic waste in the ocean now is by looking at an organization called the Ocean Cleanup. The Ocean Cleanup is an organization that is dedicated to cleaning up what is known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, the largest accumulation of ocean plastic in the world, located between California and Hawaii. The estimated weight of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is around 80,000 tons, or 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic. They aspire to clean up this patch of garbage by using what they call a passive design. To quote the Ocean Cleanup's website, the passive design is a long floater that sits at the surface of the water and a skirt that hangs beneath. The floater provides buoyancy while the skirt prevents debris from escaping. Essentially, the idea is a U-shaped net that creates a coastline within the water, trapping in the trash and letting the current of the ocean push the trash towards it. It is held by an anchor so the net does not move. Using this system, the Ocean Cleanup, the organization, intends to put this technology all around the world and all the oceans, and hopefully their goal is to remove 90% of ocean plastic by 2040. This is an idea and something that the United States could use their vast amount of funding and resources to create something similar, or use the same idea to speed up the production of cleaning the current waste from our oceans. Forming a policy centered around this idea with a great amount of federal funding would surely mean a cleaner ocean in the next couple of decades. This is something that the Environmental Protection Agency could be in charge of, and something that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration could be a part of. This to us seems like the best idea of how to remove plastic in our ocean right now, going forward.
In the article, Marine Microplastics Spell Big Problems for Future Generations, some of the damages of plastic pollution on marine life are described. In the beginning of the article, several environmental problems that can disturb the balance of the Earth are named. These issues included climate change, ozone depletion, and ocean acidification. The authors go on to state that plastic waste building up in the ocean is an issue as urgent as the others. Microplastics from beauty products, medicines, or the breakdown of larger plastics are a major problem. These plastics are in the ocean due to illegal dumping activities, littering, road runoff, and sewage. There have been calls to classify plastic as hazardous, but apparently there is not enough evidence that it causes ecological harm. More research needs to be done that will build upon existing research and allow environmentalists to secure the argument that plastic pollution must be managed more effectively in order to prevent further harm to marine life. Images of turtles and other large marine species entangled in plastic are widespread throughout the media. Many people are aware that plastic is ending up in the oceans and causing harm. There is not so much a lack of awareness as a lack of effective plastic waste disposal management. Microplastics have more subtle and insidious impacts on marine life that are not as easy to photograph. Lab studies find impacts of microplastic ingestion to include reduced energy allocation, altered feeding behavior, gut blockage, oxidative stress, and physical injury. There is room for more investigating to be done, but when lab studies produce such results, it should be clear that microplastic ingestion in marine life must be prevented, and one way to do that is to eliminate plastic pollution. Plastic waste is one of the most common forms of ocean pollution. The elimination of hazardous plastic waste disposal practices should be a high priority for environmental activists.